execution and definitely how to stay patient in your trades and just holding on for dear life in those moments where you want to just close or uh, fix this up. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get going. So we're gonna go over charts as well and definitely review the ones that we called out. Um, let's go ahead and go to CAD CHF. This is definitely a pair that we called out. We were hawking this pair for almost 10 days now. So essentially we had the initial first touch on this trend line right here. You can see we had the second touch and we did have a third touch. Okay, but right before that third touch, you can see we had the MAs crossing and you see the red crossed over blue, signifying that sellers gain control in this market. Okay, right after that, we had a huge impulsive move to the downside. Okay, and just by reading the candlesticks, we could see we had a bullish doji candlestick. Okay, so signifying indecision. Okay, and right after that, we had another huge engulfing candlestick. All right, so simply by reading these candlesticks, I was able to see a potential pullback. See that question in the chat. I personally use I believe 8 blue EMA and a red 18 MA. So essentially the EMA hugs the price stronger than the red one. Okay, so that's how you get these crosses. Okay, after we get that cross, again, we had that impulsive move to the downside, and I love playing off these psychological zones. Okay, so you can see over here to our right, we have the 0.75 thousand psychological zone, and you can see we clearly just smashed through it. I was hoping for a retest on it, but you can see we did get a deeper correction. So after this impulsive move, I saw these doji candlesticks. Okay, so I was still holding off, and I said to myself, if price breaks this psychological zone, I'm gonna enter. Okay, and again, we had that deep retracement right where this trend line was. You can see right over here, we had that 1, 2, third touch break, and then retest on the other side. And you can see this is kind of like a flag retracement, a bearish flag retracement. And then if you see what happened when we got up here, okay, this bearish candlestick was almost the same size as this bullish one. And you can see they closed almost at the same level, okay? And that was at let's see what zone that was. So almost the 7,500 psychological zone, okay? So you can see how well respected these zones are. Okay, so this is where we like to place our entry. So this is where we like to execute from. But I played it safe, so I wanted to see price break this zone before I entered. Okay, and this is all on the daily time frame. Okay, so this is where you get a true directional bias of the trend. Okay, on the higher time frames. I went on to a lower time frame and I saw this the correction, and again I wasn't going to enter until it broke this trend line. Okay, so that's when I executed the trade, is once it broke that trend line. Okay, you can see on the 2 hour we had a small break and retest and continuation. So again, this is currently a risk-free trade. There's no such thing as risk-free. I mean, there's no better free than risk-free. Okay, so essentially we moved our stop loss to break even, and now we are just holding on for dear life. Okay, so essentially we're gonna take profits, or I'm gonna take profits when it gets to this zone, and I'm going to let the rest ride until it gets potentially to this zone. And again, I picked these zones just from potential support and resistance. You can see it was well respected in the past. So yes, this was CAD CHF, and I believe we called a Euro NZD. That was the pair we called. So let's go ahead and go on the daily time frame. So again, just by reading the candlesticks, I'm just seeing this market is currently ranging. What does that mean? You can see the market is just going sideways. Okay, just going sideways. Okay. So when the market's ranging, Okay, you want to be able to, execute your trades at these support and resistance zones. Okay, these ceilings and these floors. Okay. Oop, right here. Okay. So essentially, we had price continue this upward trend, and it's currently finding some resistance at the tip of this zone. You can see we haven't been in this area since January. Okay, so this is a well-respected zone. That's why I boxed it up. I boxed it up from the close of the candlestick all the way to the top of the wick. And essentially, I was just trying to see how price was going to react. I had this trend line with a 1, 2, almost just 2 touches on it actually. And essentially what I'm looking for is price to break this trend line. So essentially to execute this trade, okay, at first I'm seeing this indecision up here, some rejection. Okay, this could potentially be that reversal we're looking for. Okay, I would like to see a strong impulsive move to the downside to signify that strength, a flag retest. Okay, and then I would scale down on the lower time frames to see some rejection, just like we're doing now. Okay, so this is something I'm really liking. It looks overextended, and I really like getting in on divergence as well on the lower time frames, like the 4-hour. Okay, so I see how price is rising up here. You can see it's going up, but on our RSI, it's going down. So essentially, price is getting pumped up, but it's losing strength. Okay, so that's divergence. Okay, so essentially, this is signifies a reversal. Right away, I see my MAs crossed. You see the red crossed over blue. So again, this could be the reversal we are looking for. So I'm still holding off. I would like to get in on some daily candlestick closures just to play it safe, like pound NZD, for example. I got in early over here, and you see it pumped up all the way up here, and then it rejected right away. And this is, I got in before this daily candlestick. So I did get a good amount of pips caught, and I moved my stop loss to break even, but it just goes to show you got to really be patient, especially with these pound pairs, because the pip count is ridiculous on them. Okay, so essentially what I'm looking for in pound NZD, okay, we have a strong impulsive move to the upside again, and we have that retest coming, but it's kind of fallen. It's looking like it's gonna break, honestly. So this is a break or bounce situation. You see, it broke this first trend line. I'm waiting to see how it respects the second trend line. Essentially, I can see the MAs crossed. We have some huge rejection in this zone, and we did have a nice bearish candlestick. I believe it was that just closed today. So I would wait for a clean break just to see a true bias, because when I go on the 4-hour, I am seeing some rejection in the zone, and I am seeing bullish divergence. So this is something I'm going to keep my eyes on. I'm not going to pull the trigger on it yet. I want to go ahead and wait on the daily time frames just to see, what kind of how price will close. Okay. Again, we like to read the candlesticks and read price action and see what the market's telling us, because again, you got to do a top-down analysis to see where the trend is going. Okay, because the trend is your friend, and essentially, if you know where the market is going, you're going to be able to buy or long-term, or when it's uptrending, you're going to be able to know when to hold longer. When it's downtrending, you know when to have your long-term sells. So essentially, we like to go on the higher time frame analysis and then jump down to the lower time frames to see what price is telling us, because the market is a story. Okay, the higher time frames is like a book. In order to read a book, first you need to open that page, and you need to be able to read the paragraphs. So that's like the weekly time frames. You need to be able to read the sentences in those paragraphs. So you're going down into the daily time frames, and then you need to be able to read the 4-hour time frames, and that's going into the words itself. And in order to read words, you need to be able to read the letters, and that's actually looking at the candlesticks themselves. And essentially all this together gives you a story. and you will know what the market is telling you. Okay, so it's all about patience, and patience does pay. Okay, so that was pound NZD, AUD, NZD. I know we call this on our Telegram. Essentially, why I executed this trade. Again, I was just seeing an impulsive move. We had that retest, and just by reading the size of these candlesticks, you can see how small they are. Okay, so this isn't convincing. You can see it gapped up above the MAs, and now it's acting as support. And essentially, we moved our stop loss to break even. So this is a risk-free trade. And what enticed me to pull the trigger on this, I saw some divergence on the lower time frames, on the 4-hour. Okay, I actually got in over here, and I've been holding all the way through. Okay, and I put my stop loss down here. So if it breaks this zone, okay, it will violate that uptrend. And essentially, I saw again, price was going down, but you can see on the RSI it was going up. So this is again divergence. Okay, and so if you guys don't know, I know Roy went over it yesterday. The market moves in M's and W's, and once you notice this for yourself, it will really open your mind. So just to show you guys what I mean, let me just go ahead and draw this first. And this is something we like to execute off as well. Let me draw that backwards. Give me 1 sec, you guys. All right, so essentially, you can just see these harmonic patterns. And I'm just gonna go ahead and draw over these patterns, all right? So you guys can see, give me 1 sec. Okay. Well, now let me go ahead and delete these harmonic patterns, all right? So just by looking at what I drew out, what letters do these make, you guys? Just go ahead and put in the chat. So what letters do you guys see? Awesome. M's and W's. Perfect. Perfect. All right. So essentially, the market moves in M's and W's. All right. And this was another confirmation for me to get in. Okay. Just by looking at this trade, you can see we had this this W forming right over here. And inside that W, we had another W. All right. So you can see W's inside W's. All right. So like right here, we had a smaller W. And essentially that was another indication for me to get in. So I'm seeing another W over here. And when it hit my break even, I actually waited for this smaller W inside this bigger W. Okay. So essentially we read the top-down analysis, and we were able to read the candlesticks in the story, and we went down to the lower time frames to see what price action was telling us. Same thing, and definitely going off that divergence for me and the W's and M's. And you can see this on almost any chart, any time frame. Like right here, W, which just took off. Inside that W, we had a smaller W. And you can see we had an M over here. Inside that M, we had a smaller M. So the market moves like this because it tries to trap retail traders. Okay, so once you understand how the market moves, you'll be able to know when to trade and know when not to trade. All right, so that was AUD NZD, and again, we just show you. We even used it on CAD CHF. You can see we had a huge M forming on the higher time frames, and inside that M, we had another M. Okay, and then break retest continuation. You can see M's and W's. We had an M over here, and then a W over here. And then you can just see this again on any time frame, any pair. So again, I'm seeing a potential M on this pair. We were waiting for a clear break out of this trend line. You can see we had 2 dojis on the daily time frame. So it is looking bullish right now, but again, we'd like to see what happens. Okay, so it's still not ready. And I believe USD JPY was another pair we called out. You can see, go ahead, clear this out. So again, going on the daily time frame, we were able to read price action. We can see we had this trend line that was violated. Okay, strong impulsive move to the downside, flag retracement. Okay, and you can see it as soon as the MA's crossed and it came back to retest that MA again, it acted as support, or I'm sorry, resistance here. We were actually waiting for this gap to fill, but I believe, let me see what fib it was at from this most recent impulse. So it just tapped that 61 fib. Okay, so let me go ahead and clear this up for you guys. So we drew this Fibonacci from the last impulsive high, swing high to the lowest, swing low, or to the next swing low. You can see it just tapped that 61, had some rejection on it, and the next daily close, you can see it closed right where the last candlestick was, had a strong impulsive move. So I'd like to see a potential retest, at least potentially up to here, and definitely wait to see some rejection on the lower time frames. So we broke this, and I'd like to see a retest in this zone potentially, and again to wait to see if there's some rejection on the lower time frames, and then I'm gonna go ahead and execute that trade. All right, so again, we went on the higher time frames to read what price action was telling us to get that clear directional bias, and then we jumped on to the lower time frames to see what price was telling us. Again, nothing new, and executing that trade. And you can't be afraid to take the trade. You know, if you see your edge, you got to take your trade. Okay, so this is a probabilistic game, and you can't be thinking by trade mentality. All right, so that's USD JPY. And do you guys have any pairs you guys want us to look at, or you guys have any questions at all? Definitely just put it in the chat. Thoughts on Euro Pound? Let's see. Yeah, I was looking at this earlier. This one is really looking impulsive. Let's see. Just putting some levels on it on the daily. Higher up. Go on the weekly time frame. Sheesh, looks very bullish on the weekly. Do see it did break. That's, so let me see the fib on here as well. From the swing low to the swing high. Right where that break is and right where the MA's cross. Cool. Personally, this is very bullish on the higher time frames. Daily. It's a little overextended. Let's see how it reacts. It looks like it broke this zone. You can see it cleared that last high. Let's see. Get that wick on it. What's right at that level? Okay. I would like to see definitely a retracement before I get in for a a buy just because I'm seeing this impulsive move to the upside. The weekly is looking very bullish. 4 hour does look extended. I think it's definitely due for some correction. Since it's such an impulsive move, I'll probably see it correct to the 38 fib, 38.2. Hopefully meet up with this these MAs. He was well respected in the past. Support to resistance, key psychological zone, 0.8700. Matches up with my Fibonacci break of this trend line. You can see inverted head and shoulders on left head, or I'm sorry, left shoulder, head, looks like, and that right shoulder to me. So yeah, I'll definitely wait to see how it reacts now. Definitely wait on a couple candlestick closures. This one looked like it was really well rejected, but this one did fill it. So I'll definitely wait. This could be a definitely a good move for next week or to come. Let's see. What do you think, right? Happened to all pound pairs since TM. So essentially, I honestly don't really look at the fundamentals. My price action most of the time lines up with the fundamentals. Obviously, if there's some high impact news, I'll be careful on what I'm trading, and I'll move either my stop losses to break evens or tighten up on my stops. But essentially, we are technical analysis or technical analysts, so most of the time, those fundamentals match up with the technicals. All right. And again, like I said, during those high impact news, I'll be wary of what pairs I'm trading, and I'll definitely make sure my stops are where I want them to be. Okay, does that make sense, Jerry? But yeah, strong impulsive move to the upside. I'm seeing it broke this trend line. It's definitely at a psychological zone right now. It looks like let's see. It's at the 0.885. Let me get the coordinates on this. Just shy. So slightly below that psychological zone.
But can't that be because
looking at the past, it was well respected over here. Yeah. Again, just definitely to execute. Just to summarize everything, we go on the higher time frames just to see what price action is telling us, and then just going down to lower time frames, doing the same thing, reading what price action is telling us, and just going off personally psychological zones, divergence, W's and M's, candlestick closures, and yeah. And for definitely, you have to be able to stay patient. To let your winners get to where they need to be, because essentially, you have to cut your losses short and let your winners ride. Okay, meaning if it's at your stop loss, let it stop you out. Don't move your stop loss any further, or don't take off your stop loss for any means necessary. Right? So technical analysis can only do so much, but there's a lot to it. There's a lot of psychology to it. So again, I don't want to take up too much of your time. We're definitely going to have a call tomorrow just to review, the pairs that we called out and what we're looking to execute on. I appreciate you guys for hopping on the call. I'm definitely post this up on the YouTube page and send it to you guys as soon as possible. But again, if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to hit the chat. Definitely here for you guys. Oh, and definitely feel free to schedule for a one-on-one with us just to see how your trading is doing, and don't hesitate to send your markups too. We like to help improve the technicals, and just to help you guys on this journey. So again, hope everyone is having a wonderful night or morning wherever you guys are, and yeah, catch y'all tomorrow, man.